Are live, baby, all around the world. Let me check something, and while I do that and get ready, because we have 2 minutes, 3 minutes before we actually start, let me check a few things. All right, review audio. All right. All right, yeah, looks like we are good. Okay, you can do the 16th. Alright, okay, comma, more details to follow. Dot, dot, dot. Cool. Sorry about that. I run a few different businesses. That was the band for the 16th, so everybody has confirmed. So we are good making the band. All right. So you guys are joining the enabling, disabling oxymoron masterclass with your host, Mr. Vashaun D. Jones. And it'll be starting in exactly 1 minute. All right. And just waiting on Christy to confirm a couple of things, and we will get it. All right, cool. All right, so it is 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Georgia, hot Atlanta. And guess what, man? It was 76 degrees outside today. I have on what I have on right now, a t shirt, a dress shirt, open all the way, and my sleeves rolled up, pair of jeans, pair of tennis shoes, and we were seeing clients all day today. Um, it's kind of amazing, man, when I sit here and think about what I thought about 15 years ago, what it would be like. It's exactly like it is now. Being able to broadcast live all around the world on multiple platforms for virtually little money is amazing. Now, I tend to do it in the best video quality and the best audio quality that I can. But I mean, you could do this from your iPhone. Um, so yeah, let me check my text message because one just came in. All right, Christy says everything is good. So, yeah, it just really amazes me because 15 years ago I said, man, it would be quite amazing if you could broadcast your message out to the world easily and accessibly. And it is 100% accessible, no problems whatsoever. Actually, this stream is being broadcast on 5 different platforms at the same time, and two blind people are running it, right? A boy and a girl. Matter of fact, black and white. She's white, of course, black. So no matter the excuse that people want to come up with, the world, for the most part, is now accessible. I don't have a makeup artist. I don't have a producer here today. It is just me. Christy is monitoring the streams. If you have any questions or comments, post them in the Facebook, the YouTube, the Periscope, the Twitter feeds, and she'll get to it. I'm checking my messages again. All right, and a double check, and everything is great. All right, so that means we can get the message out clear and as concise as possible. I'm the only one talking again. There's no makeup artist. There's nobody here in the studios but me. Christy is all the way on the other side of Georgia, literally 2.5 hours away in Augusta, and she's checking the stream. So if you have a comment, go ahead and make it. Shouts out to a bunch of people, man. Rusty in California. I'm going to talk a little bit about him. Tammy in Wisconsin, and Beth, and Steve, and this guy, I forget his name because he called me an idiot. All right, so I was listening to the Breakfast Club before I came up to broadcast, and he said, today's donkey of the day, this is Charlemagne the God, today's donkey of the day for Tuesday, February 3rd. For Tuesday, February 3rd. Now, we've been making that mistake all week, and it brought joy to my heart because I caught it because everyone told me that is it Tuesday or is it February 3rd? Because February 3rd is a Monday. And I get it. I got it. It's Christy's fault. And I should have read the email as she stated. But I got hundreds and hundreds of other emails to read, and I just overlooked it. She overlooked it. We made a mistake. Guess what? We try not to make the same mistake twice, and we did it again. Right? And it's kind of like the VR case, and it's kind of like Social Security, and it's kind of like employment. And so in today's master class, when you think about enabling and you think about disabling and you think about them being an oxymoron, if you're trying to do them both at the same time, it's like tug of war. It's like pulling and pulling. No, it's like pulling and pushing, right? You can't do them both at the same time. And so, how do you enable a person and disable a person at the same time? Well, I want to enable you to be able to master vocational rehabilitation, master your Social Security and your benefits, and I want you to master employment. Now, I'm going to give you some guidelines for all three. And we'll be taking a deeper dive, a much deeper dive, situational dives based on your own situation down through 2020. 2020 is the year of vision, the decade of empowerment. It is my mission over the next decade to empower as many blind and disabled people as I possibly can. That will put me at 53, and I'm going to retire. I'm semi-retired now at 43 because I do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I get paid for doing it. And it's a beautiful thing. But I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I want to go around and continue to do what I do, which is help other people to do it all around the world, whatever it is. And do it is whatever you want to do. Now, I have my handy dandy drink to the left. In case I knock it over, you can see there's no top on it. I'm going to take a couple of sips every now and then because, again, I'm the only one talking. And my mouth gets dry. So please bear with me. Hold on one sec. The microphone is right here connected to my ear going around to the front of my mouth. So you may hear a slurp. Look, can't help it, okay? All right. So the way you enable a person and disable a person is, in my opinion, you enable them and empower them with information, and you disable the misnomers and the things that we've been programmed to think all these decades that are not true. It's simply not true, especially when it comes to vocational rehabilitation and it comes to employment. So let's break down vocational rehabilitation. Vocation means employment, job, what your life work is going to be, what you want to do to build wealth. Your biggest wealth building tool is your income. If you're not having a income, then you can't possibly build wealth. And I want to say that again. If you don't have income of a significant amount, you can't build wealth, which means you'll never be able to leave something for your children that come behind you, your grandchildren, the people that you love, and live a life of great means. And I don't mean having stuff, I mean having stuff. And I don't mean all the crap around you that you can buy. I mean the people that you're able to help when you leave a legacy, when you leave some money, when you leave some property, when you leave something in trust. That's what I'm talking about. So the biggest thing is the biggest wealth building tool is your income, right? All right. So if you're disabled, your process can start with vocational rehabilitation. So vocation is all about jobs. Rehabilitation is for you to be rehabilitated no matter your disability, to be able to go into the workforce as a empowered, capable person, an equipped person, to be able to do the work and the task that you're wanting to do, that you've applied to do, that you have the desire to do. All right, so that's what vocational rehabilitation is for. Now, even though it's for that, you have to go in, say, starting tomorrow. Forget about when you went in 6 years ago. Forget about what your counselor told you before then. You have to go in knowing exactly what I want to do, knowing exactly what you want to do, how you want to get there, the things that you're going to need to get there, the resources that you're going to need to get there. And that's only half the battle. And in most cases, it is a battle. So roll up your sleeves and get ready for the battle because it's not going to come easy, right? Nothing in life worth having comes easy. Not marriage, not the love of your life. Yeah, they might be pretty and fall in love, but guess what? It takes work to keep it going, to make it happen. It's just not going to be, oh, we went on a date and now we're married and everything is great. It takes work and compromise. And so, even though you find love and it's free, it's still work and it's hard work. And the same thing with your vocational rehabilitation case, right? So, you know what you want to do. You know what you need to get there. You know the resources, you know the mentorship and the people that you need to be around in order to make it happen. And so you walk in there with this plan. That's why you have a work plan that is between you and your counselor, to decide what it is you want to do and how you want to get there and the resources that you need. That's what that work plan is for. And both of you guys sign off on it. Your counselor is there to assist you in your work plan. The biggest reason why most cases around the United States isn't closed is because the person sitting in the chair opposite of the counselor doesn't know what they want to do, and that person is you, right? So the first myth, vocational rehabilitation does not have any jobs. If they have a job lead, that's a big if, then they may have that job lead. But it's not their job to get you a job. And I hear that all across the United States. My counselor didn't do anything for me. And I said, well, what did you ask him to do? I asked him to get me a job. And they didn't do it. And therefore, they didn't do anything for me. It's not their job to get you a job. It's your job to get you a job. Bottom line. And so if your case is going on for 5, 6, 7, 20 years, it's because you don't know what you want to do. Now, in addition to that, there's some other things. Let's take a pause for the calls. I'm going to check my messages as they come in because it could be important. And we'll come back. Hey, what's up, Rusty? Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Rusty says he appreciates the videos. It inspires him to do better every day. And I know Rusty, man, and man, such a super dude. Um, so that's the first myth when it comes to vocational rehabilitation is that they have jobs. They don't. All right, so let's get that out of the way. The second thing is that it's consumer or customer or client driven. You are in some states the consumer, you are in some states the client, you are in some states the consumer, customer, consumer, client. All words interchangeable mean the same thing. You are the driving force behind it. So you have you as the consumer, customer, client, and you have vocational rehabilitation and your counselor and their supervisor and their supervisor and their director. But it's your case, right? It's your case. It's you driving the car. They may have the keys, but you're driving the car. And when you realize that and become empowered, when you put the power of your case in your hands, because it's never been there, you walk in as a new person, right? And you don't know anything. You just like, I'm blind, I'm disabled. Let me go to vocational rehabilitation and see what they have for me. Let me go to vocational rehabilitation and see what they can do for me. Let me go to vocational rehabilitation and see if they'll get me a computer because I heard that my friend got a computer last month and hell, I need a computer too. So let me go get a free computer from vocational rehabilitation. Yeah, the computer is not for you necessarily to look for a job. It's because it's one of the requirements for you to have said job. You know, the job that you said that you wanted, that's what the equipment is for. Now, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 25 years ago, they were handing out computers and equipment and braille displays and this and that and CCTVs and everything one could ever want as a blind person. Why? Because they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know that this thing might actually could work. It was just handing out stuff. One of the reasons is because you could have your case closed and be a homemaker. You know what that means? I could sit at home and do nothing and have my case closed with thousands of dollars in equipment. Well, you could sit at home and do nothing with nothing. Oh, that's a bright idea for taxpayers' money. But you can no longer do that with vocational rehabilitation. Now you have to work. And what happens when you and I and the government is forced to work? That means new things, new processes, new programs have to be put in place to ensure that happens. And now we have the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, WIOA, which forces those things to happen, right? All right, so that's the second thing is individuals, the myth. People don't realize that it's consumer driven. It's driven by you. Why? Because it's your case. Does that make sense? Your case, you make the decisions. Now, why doesn't it work for most people? Is because in order for the counselor to have a job, you have to be disabled. That's how you know it's your case. The reason why it doesn't work is because they'll tell you, no, you can't do this. No, you can't have that. And then you begin to think, kind of like training a dog, that, oh, the carrot she has, and he is only going to give it to me if I do this or that. And it works the total opposite. You are the driving force behind your case. You are the driving force behind your case. Well, my counselor told me that this, right? And then you just give up. I mean, literally give up. I have individuals out there that their counselor said that you need to go and get more training. And they say, okay. They don't ask what type of training. They don't ask, where do I get the training from? Because once you start to pry into those questions, they going to tell you, I don't know. And then I would say, well, why the you think I need to get more training? You don't know where I could go to get the training. You don't know what type of training I need. You're just making stuff up, right? You're making stuff up. Here's another myth or secret. Here's a secret. 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, your counselor hasn't done what it is that you want to do by way of employment. So when I said I wanted to open up my business to my counselor, how could they tell me, no, you can't do it if they've never opened up a business before? How can you tell me I'm not able to open up a business? I'm not capable of opening up a business. I don't have the expertise, the knowledge, the courses to open up a business. You're not qualified to tell me what it is that I can and can't do. You're a counselor. And that's what happens to thousands and thousands of disabled people across the United States. Some unqualified person who works for you tells you that you can't do something, and we just put our thumb in our mouth and go home for years and do nothing with our life. Your life weighs in the balance off of some unqualified person telling you what you can't do and what they're not going to approve. Guess what? Every counselor has a boss. Every boss has a boss. And that boss has a boss. Climb the ladder of bosses until you get the results that you want. But you have to know what you want. Because I can guarantee you, if you waste time emailing the next person in the chain saying, my counselor hasn't done anything for me. I called them and they didn't return my call. They're not returning your freaking call because you're not giving them any direction. You're asking them, hey, have you found any leads for me? Freaking no, I haven't. I got 200 people on my caseload, and I'm not screwing around with you who don't know what it is that you want, right? So that's the way that works. That's literally the way it works. And I guarantee you, if you get enough bosses in those emails, you're going to get and make something happen. I've seen it time and time again. So let's talk about that. My name is Vashaun Jones. I am the visionary of Fedora Outlier LLC. We exist solely to equip, encourage, and empower the blind and disabled to do more, be excellent, and live with greater success. I went around this great United States closing out literally hundreds and hundreds of cases. I've hired throughout my 25 years of professional employment thousands of individuals, and I empower thousands of individuals weekly with free talks just like this, paid talks to corporations. And we teach technology and accessible applications and APIs and platforms and all that great stuff. And we contract with several states to provide assistive technology on a variety of different platforms, and we operate in a multitude of countries, and all of that great stuff. But this particular conversation is about vocational rehabilitation, Social Security, and employment. You mind if I take a sip? Can I take a sip? Hold on one sec. I'll be right back. Hold on. Man, that is good. All right. So, closing out your case, a status 26. You want to close out your case as a successful closure, meaning you have gotten gainful employment, competitive integrated employment. Competitive, people can't compete for it in all levels of life and all that stuff. Integrated means, you're in with all the other people in the world, non-disabled, disabled, whatever. You're competitive, you're integrated, you're working, you're getting a paycheck. That paycheck is a wonderful thing. I'm telling you. My dad would always say, work now, play later. Play now, work later. And the only thing that simply meant is you work now, you get money, you can play. You play now, you ain't getting no money, and you're going to have to work later. Imagine being 65, retirement age, and you're still living off the same 760 some dollars a month, $800 a month, whatever it is. I couldn't imagine it, and I don't want you to imagine it, right? I don't want that to be a reality for most of us. I don't want it to be a reality for any of us, but I definitely don't want it to be a reality for most of us. And that's exactly where we're headed, right? Mama used to say, if you don't straighten up your ways, you're going to be headed for a lifetime of pain and heartache. And if we don't straighten up our life, vocational rehabilitation case, and employment, and understand Social Security, then we're going to be headed for a lifetime of exactly what we got now. Now, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And so if you're going to your counselor, going to VR, expecting a different result, but yet you're doing the same thing, then you're going to continue to get the same thing that you're getting, which in most people's cases, nothing. All right. Equipment. I know a person that got some equipment. They got a braille display. They got a CCTV. I don't know why they got a braille display because they don't read braille, but the counselor brought it because all blind people have braille displays, right? They have a note taker too, or a hymns YouTube Bluetooth doo-doo thing, right? No, right? You can't just walk in and say, hey, I need a braille display, a few thousand, nothing to it. You got a couple of your drawer, right? No, they don't. Um, so the next biggest myth that I see, the next biggest thing that I think will help people is you really truly have to have a relationship with VR. And I always talk about a war and a fight, and there's only a war and a fight until it isn't anymore. Once people realize that you know what you're talking about, you're firm on what you want, right? Because if you don't know what you want, nobody else is. If you don't know where you want to go when you get there, you got not gonna know that this is where you want it to be. If you are not firm on what you want, then nobody else can be secure in getting you what you want. And what I mean by that is once you've demonstrated that this is what you want, whatever job it is, whatever vocation it is that you want, and the people are working with you, build a team. Build a team of counselors and supervisors who are on your side, who will champion you to their supervisor and get you all the stuff that you need for employment because you can get everything that you ask for. Now, how do you get that? You have to justify it. You have to justify it. I'll give you an example. I was at this party, bunch of blind people. We chilling. You know, music blasting, drinks going around, everything is good. And you know me, I got to bring up your VR case in a party, baby, because that's what blind people do, because we talk about blind people stuff, right? And so I said, well, how's your case? And they said, well, I'm good. I'm trying to get a Bluetooth speaker. I said, a Bluetooth speaker? Now, in my head, I'm thinking, you can get those for $27, $57, 100, 300. I mean, HomePod is only like 300. I'm thinking, Bluetooth speaker, you can buy that. Okay. And so I said, well, what kind of Bluetooth speaker you want? I don't really know. I don't know. I know the last one they brought me was a piece of crap. And I said, well, did you tell them which one you wanted? And they said, nah, I ain't tell them which one I wanted. I told them I just wanted a Bluetooth speaker. And I said, well, if you didn't tell them which one you wanted it and why you wanted it, then that's why you got a piece of crap. I don't get it. So you have to justify fight what it is that you want. But here's the thing: if you don't know what you want, how are they supposed to know? I mean, they supposed to just buy you the right thing. So they satisfy the request. They brought you any old crap Bluetooth speaker because you didn't tell them I want the HomePod by Apple. This is where you can get it from. And by the way, there is no taxes because your government status allows you to purchase this at a government discount with no taxes from this place. And I need it in space gray. Why do I need it in space gray? Because it matches my other presentation devices. Why do you need a Bluetooth speaker? Because I may be in a place that I don't have the ability to use a cord and I need to still project great sound to my potential purchasers. That's justification. That's specific. That's direct. That's exactly what you need. Where to get it from? How much it costs? What's the benefits in it for the government? So that's you helping the counselor, working together as a team to get what you want out of your case so that you can become employed. Now, you see how I tied employment in it? You see how I justified every reason for purchasing it? Now, guess what your counselor's job is? Your counselor's job is to purchase it. You just helped him or her out tremendously. Now they can justify it to their boss. They can see how it benefits you and your employment goal. They don't have to guess at what you want to purchase. They don't have to guess the color. Now, here's the biggest thing. Stay tuned. It's the 80-20 rule. I'm gonna take a sip, check my messages because texts are coming in. So hold on one sec. All right, Ross, I can't talk to you. That's Warren. All right, so that wasn't important. I'm gonna take a sip. I mean, it was important, Warren. I'm not saying you're not important. I just thought it was related to the broadcast. All right, so the 80-20 rule. This is gonna help you tremendously. Um, 80% you, 20% your counselor. 80% of the work is on you. You see the way I justify that one thing, that Bluetooth speaker in writing? All of that is written out and emailed so that you have a copy and they got a copy. Everything is spelled out so that the counselor has very little work to do. She's going to transfer your words into her language, put it on a request form, find a vendor that she can purchase it from, and 2 weeks later, you should be looking at a Bluetooth device if everything is done correctly. Right? 80% you, 20% them. And it starts with knowing what you want. All right. So we're going to untangle vocational rehabilitation again down through the year. Let me read this particular thing. Well, I don't want to necessarily read it, but I want to tell you about this person in a state, and I'm going to summarize what they said on YouTube. So they've had a case for 5.5, 6 years. They followed the procedure, I'm imagining, to either become self-employed or work for the business enterprise program. They go through a rigorous, excuse me, a rigorous few years in trying to get their case closed, self-employed or business enterprise program. They didn't mention it. They did talk about bidding on locations, so I'm either thinking that's self-employment, dealing with government contracts and bids, um, or bids in general, or um, self-employment, BEP. So 5.5 years, way, way too long, definitely. Counselor went on maternity leave, and their case was just in limbo until the counselor came back. Let me stop right there. If your counselor is out for any crazy amount of time, it's a case, ladies and gentlemen. There's notes there. Somebody else in that office can pick it up, right? The counselor has a supervisor. That's their freaking job. You're not waiting on one particular person to close your case. If your counselor is not doing what she's supposed to do, switch counselors. You can do that. You can switch your case to a whole nother state if you want to. If you're not getting, matter of fact, wow. Okay, so if you're not getting what it is that you need, you can switch. All right. And so this person went on maternity leave. I'm not waiting 9 months of my life to get the things that I need to become employed when you're getting a paycheck for having a baby or while having a baby. No. Unacceptable. Now, guess what? Your counselor probably has 200 cases. So if they got to go through 200 people who don't know what they want, and they got 3 people that do, guess who the ones they're going to work with the most? The 3 people who know what they want. And when I say want, I don't mean what computer you want. I'm talking about know what you want out of vocational rehabilitation. All right. So this person, 5.5 year case, gets all the way to the supervisor's level. They had a equipment list. The equipment list was cut. Excuse me. cut down tremendously, and now they don't know what to do. So every single item needs to be justified on both sides. Why did you take this off? Why did you take that off? Why did you take this off? And now let's go back and justify, this is why I need this item. This is why I need that item. This is why I need this item. This is how it's going to benefit me. This is how I'm going to need to do things as a blind business owner to make it happen for me. Right? And I always ask, have you started a business yourself, counselor? I'm sorry, I didn't. Hello, I didn't hear you. Have hello? Have you started a business, counselor? Oh, you haven't. Supervisor. Hey. Have you started a business? You haven't either. Oh, so why are you cutting these things again? Oh, it's because I didn't justify them? Okay, well, let me justify them and let's put them back on my list of things that I want. Let's do that. Let's handle that like that. Right? Now, everybody has a boss. Everything has to be justified. Everything has to be followed by the rules and regulations. Let me cover two other things. CAPS. CAPS is the Client Assistance Program Services. If all else fails, find your CAPS. Every state has a Client Assistance Program Services. Now, in some states, they are definitely in bed with VR. Not going to lie to you. But just because you don't get the results that you want doesn't mean that they're in bed with them. It may mean that you didn't present a case that is really going to get the results that you want. And that's a matter of knowing the rules. Every state has a state rehab council. So a client assistance program is exactly that. You're the client, you're the consumer, you're the customer. Assistance program services. You go to them when there's a problem with you in VR. Your SRC, statewide, what is it, Rehabilitation Council? That's who vocational rehabilitation answers to in your state. Now, most people don't realize that, they don't know that, but go to a SRC meeting in your state and you will see that the state answers to the SRC. The state is who they have, the SRC is who they report to, right? So you got the SRC and the CAPS in your back pocket. And they probably haven't seen a consumer in an SRC meeting in your state in, it'll be like a ghost. Seeing a ghost, literally. Because they don't see it. And they don't see the consumer actually knowing the rules and regulations and making it happen. So, last thing, rules and regulations. Every vocational rehabilitation has a client handbook. Client handbook. Client handbook. Client handbook. If you don't know the rules, it's going to be hard for you to win the game. If you do not know the rules, it's going to be hard for you to win the game. Where do you find out the rules? Get the client handbook. Read it frontwards to backwards. It's your life. If I told you as a doctor that if you read this book right here, it's 226 pages. If you read it, understand it, take notes, and can regurgitate it back to me, then your life will be spared and you can live an additional 50 years. You think you ain't going to read the freaking book? Read the client handbook. understand what it is they're telling me. So if it's not right, you can look at it right in the handbook and be like, nah, you got 30 days to get back with me. It's 46. What we doing? But if you don't know that, then they're going to tell you anything. About to move over to employment. Hold on one sec. All right. I don't know why I'm keep getting messages, but no messages coming through. All right, so employment. What is an employer looking for? They're looking for in 2020 someone who can do the job. Bottom line, most businesses that we are working is remote businesses. They're all the way in California somewhere. They are all the way in Minnesota somewhere. They're doing an interview via Skype. And if you can look into the camera or look straight, they ain't caring whether you're blind. They're caring whether you can do the job. Right? They're caring whether you can do the job. That's it. When I hire someone, I don't care whether they blind or what. Can you do the job? Can you? Can you do the job? Then make it happen. I mean, I don't really get the issue. Is there discrimination out there? Freak yeah. Is some work more difficult than other? Heck yeah. But guess what? If you want it, because I don't want it. I don't want what you want. You don't want what I want. But if you want it, man, make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen. I got a guy that I was telling you about, Rusty, good friend of mine. Beautiful case with VR. Beautiful case with VR. You know why it was beautiful? Because he knew what he wanted. He got with his counselor and another advocate, and he made it happen. He came to us for the business and the technology teaching. We gave him a plan of action, and now his case is closed successfully as of January 2020. His paycheck last month, $13,000. In addition to that, told Social Security, I don't need you. Why? Because he got with the right people, not just Fedora, not just me, but he was able to articulate what he wanted from himself to his counselor and to his advocate, and then got with somebody who's going to teach him and continue to pour into him what it is that he needs to be successful based on what he demonstrated and what he wanted. Is all in what you want. Because if you want that job, it's just like your VR case. Make it happen. Nobody, if I want to go work somewhere, nobody's stopping me. Man, you can tell me no, no. Ooh, that made me feel good. No, no. Oh, well, why are you telling me no? Okay, well, okay, I can fix that. I'm going to interview tomorrow again, and I'm going to fix that. Now, why are you telling me no? Okay, boom, 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 and I'm going to keep going because this is something that I want. I wanted my case to be closed successfully, so what I work to do. And I read the handbook, and I got with an advocate, and I got with the people that was gonna help me, which is the reason why I do it myself, because I realize that vocational rehabilitation does not work unless you work it. Cool. All right. Social Security. Three myths about Social Security, and then we can roll out. You guys can email me, YouTube me, Facebook, anywhere you can reach us and ask any questions, and we will make it happen for sure. Social Security. Three myths. I'm gonna lose my check if I go to work. Well, if you ain't never been to work, you got a whole number of years you can work and make as much money as you want and still keep your check. Right? Listen to me. If you haven't worked, you got years you can work. Make as much money as you want and still keep your check. How powerful is that? Right? Okay. That's myth number one. What is myth number two? I had it. I had it at the top of my head. I can't think. So the biggest thing with Social Security is just like with your counselor. Um, you got to know the rules. You got to know the regulations. You got to know how much you can make and when, how much you can make and why, how much you can make and from who. Those three things you have to know. And I guess myth number two would be if they're not telling you those things, it's because it's not their job, right? The same thing with your counselor, the same thing with VR. VR works for you. So it's your job to direct them. They can't tell you certain stuff because it's a line. It's an invisible line that they can't cross. So they can't just be like, hey, bruh, come on over here. Let me show you something. Let me tell you what it is you need to be doing to make this thing go a lot smoother than the 12 years you've been on vocational rehabilitation's caseload. Let me bring you over here to the corner and tell you a secret. Now, that did happen to me and about 20 of us, and I'll tell that story at the end. But I'm going to tell you why it's not going to happen to 99% of the hundreds of thousands of people out there. Um, so, Social Security, social insecurity is what I call it. Um, get it if you need it. But here's the thing, you can always go back to it. You know, you didn't lose your blindness. If you go to work, make a bunch of money, and lose your job, you can always go back to it. And there's a period of time that you can go back to it. But here's the thing. In your state, you have, they used to be called benefits navigators. They used to be called WINS, W-I-N-S. I don't know what they're called now, but if you contact vocational rehabilitation and mention benefits navigator, there's a person there that can tell you based on your case. And when I say case, I'm not talking about your VR case, I'm talking about your Social Security case, on exactly how much you can make, when, where, and why. They can't tell you how you can make it because that's up to you. But if you're skeptical and you're tired of talking to blind people saying, I'm not going to work because if I work, I'm going to lose my check. And you want to lose your check. I mean, if you got $13,000 a month, who gives a freak about a $900 Social Security check? You make 12 times as much as that check. Let it go. And guess what? At the end of all your money making, you still blind. You can go back to that check. But I can guarantee you, if you're making $13,000 a month, you're not gonna want to go back to 900. I mean, what the freak you gonna do then? You're gonna keep busting it out and making it happen. right? Take a sip. I'm gonna take a sip and then I'm gonna wrap it up. So here's how my vocational case came about. I worked for the law offices of Gerald D. Moore and Associates PC. I sued the crap out of them and got a settlement and was blind. I've been working all of my adult life in the executive level of business. When I came to vocational rehabilitation, I don't even know how I found the number, how it even ended up there. I don't know. But anyway, when I called them and set up my appointment, my counselor gave me the handbook. My counselor walked me through the program, the ins and outs. My counselor connected me with the National Federation of the Blind. My counselor connected me with other blind and disabled people. But notice, she didn't buy any equipment. She didn't give me anything until I got with another blind person and found out exactly what I needed. And then I went back to her and I said, "Hey, I need this thing called O&M." Then I said, "Oh, I need this thing called cooking while being blind because I've never done this before. And I need this thing called daily living skills." Right? And I said, "I don't need technology because I know that. I know that like the back of my hand because that's my love, my passion, my gift, my talent. So I didn't need that." So I got those things. Now that was to get me rehabilitated because I was already employable clearly, right? I was already employable clearly. I just needed to get rehabilitated to get back into the workforce. So my counselor was leaving vocational rehabilitation. She brought all of us in on her caseload that was blind, and we had several meetings, group meetings, and she told us everything that I'm telling you now. And from that point on, my case got closed, and every single person in that room's case was closed successfully as a 26 employed. And you can too. And it doesn't matter what state you're in. I've traveled all over the United States closing out cases from Detroit to Illinois to Pennsylvania to New York, California, Wisconsin, Connecticut, Georgia, Virginia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, all over. It works because it's a program, it's a system. And when you understand the system by reading the client handbook, understanding the rules, you can play the game. And most importantly, you can win. This has been the Enabling Disabling Oxymoron Masterclass. I hope you enjoyed it. It's an hour of free time and worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to you if you just apply it. But it's your life, it's your money. I can't force you to do it. You can lead a horse to water, but you definitely can't make them drink. And if I made a mistake in anything that I've said, even though it is not Tuesday, it is February 3rd, Monday, as Neil Lewis, one of my mentors, always says, charge it to my head, not my heart. I used to think that was the corniest thing, but now I understand. So listen, be good at it. Don't kill none, don't let none die. Mr. Giorgio Vickers. And as I always say, and you guys know it, let's say it, let's change the world, and let's change the world together. Have a good one.